in New York City. There's Alan and Chris, those guys there from Horizon. Move on to us. I am pinch hitting today. My partner Doug Heyman has a 103 fever, so I'm sort of jumping in and taking over for him. So forgive me if I don't sound 100% prepared. I'm filling in for a sick guy. Anyway, we are a tech support provider here in the city, managed services. We primarily provide support for the creative industry, advertising, architecture, marketing, that sort of thing. We're certified experts with the Macs and the PCs. I am an author. I wrote 3 generations of the Mac OS X Bible. So when people say, "Are you Tom Clancy, the author?" I can say, "Yes, just not the one you think." We're also resellers of Apple, Dell, and blah, blah, blah. You don't want to hear about us. You're here to hear about Google Apps. So let's get to that. Eh? I'm going to be covering some of the doubts and challenges that people deal with that aren't in Google Apps, and then I'm going to pass the baton over to Alan to cover the solution and sort of discuss that part of it. So I'll start with the most important part, which is, of course, the money. This is the cost of mail per user for a company that is about 100 users and up. This was put together by Forrester this year, so these are new numbers, real numbers. Look at some of the components of this solution. There's the server. There's the server software, Exchange or Lotus Notes or Domino, whatever it might be. The client software, your Outlook, your Entourage. The storage and the staffing, that would be the propeller heads like us that actually do the work. Message filtering and the archiving. Not everyone does archiving, but everyone should. If you take the archiving off of this number, you still see that it's about $200 per person to do your mail. It's a heck of a nut to crack. How many of you guys are doing archiving right now for your mail? Okay, we got a couple. Are you guys doing it because you're obligated to through your industry, or just because you're good netizens? And the rest of you, the primary obstacle for not doing your archiving, don't think it's worth it, expensive? Anyone? Anyone? Okay, so there you go. It's expensive, but it is necessary. The world of e-discovery, it's coming. It is very much a case of he said, she said when you go to court. When you don't have your copies of your documents and you don't have a legitimate archive, you will lose. If someone else can present a document that you can't present countervailing evidence against, you're going to lose, and that's a big problem. So having an archive is really important. Moving on, just looking at some of the costs to do the upgrade and replacement of your in-house solution. There's a lot involved in that. How many of you guys are on Exchange 2003 and 2007? Anyone? A couple? How many of you guys are going to be going to 2010 next month? Yeah, exactly. The incremental changes and improvements that do come along every 4 to 6 years aren't really worth it to do all of the expense of jumping into downing your server, buying all the new equipment, buying new client licenses, and all that other stuff. The changes are very incremental, and it's sort of not worth it. But can you imagine not replacing your own personal computer every 6 years? Can you imagine not replacing your boss's machine until 6 years? You'd probably need a new boss if you left him with a machine from 2002. It just wouldn't happen. Then there are the administrative headaches with having your own in-house server. Obviously, your number one thing is going to be the administrative burden, which is us, again, the propeller heads. I mean, we are expensive, I know. It's how I pay my mortgage. There is the downtime, 60 to 150 minutes planned and unscheduled per month. The one really to pay attention to is going to be the planned downtime. Any kind of outsourced solution should have 0 minutes of planned downtime. Unscheduled downtime, it's going to happen. Things break, that's the nature of things. But planned downtime should never, ever happen in a hosted solution. That's the strength of a cloud-based system, is that you're supposed to be balanced. But most hosted Exchange systems, they do have planned downtimes because they're at the back end, they're all still just Exchange servers. They still need to be rebooted. It's just how it goes. There is the opportunity cost. The time spent managing that email is time that your tech people should be using to work on more strategic projects. Email is not a strategic project or a product. It's just a resource, like power or water. Could you imagine if your IT guy was spending all of his time worrying about Con Ed or worrying about their turbines or the switching station on 15th Street? It doesn't make a lot of sense. It's not really what they should be spending their time working on. They should be working on your more core apps. They should be worrying about your longer term needs. They should not be putzing them out worrying about email. Email is water, it's power, it's light. It's nothing that you should think about. There are limitations on the other side of the slide here, the user side. The users have limited storage. They have to worry about the quotas. They have to sit there and delete and archive and move things around. There is the very, very slow searching. I don't know if you guys have ever tried it, but searching in Outlook is really kind of painful. It really stinks. It breaks a lot. And most people will end up installing a Google Desktop Search or the Microsoft Instant Search, which has a bad index file and will corrupt, and you'll have that break as well. And then lastly, there's the poor collaboration experience. There really isn't a way to share your stuff within that system unless you get involved in having a SharePoint server and having all of those different additional servers and all that other stuff, and you're not really collaborating. You're just emailing back and forth. It's very much carrier pigeon communication. You know, I send a message to you, you edit it, send it back to me, I send a message to you. It's not really working together. Microsoft calls all of these systems, they call them ecosystems, so we're going to work with that sort of name here. Microsoft's complex ecosystems are things that involve their SharePoint solution, that involve multiple Exchange servers and things of that nature, so that you can get larger, get scaled up. There's a lot there. There's a lot of challenge there because you do need to have multiple servers. Each one of those has to have its own licenses. Each one of those has to have its own client licenses. Each one of those machines you might need to make redundant. You have one SharePoint server in your organization and it goes down, all of your collaboration is gone, so now you have to have 2 of those, 3 of those? I mean, at what point do you sort of stop that? And then the other side of it is going to be the security. If you want to collaborate with somebody that's not in your company, you either have to create an account within your company for them so that they can log in, which means you have to burn another cow, or you have to put your servers out in the DMZ so that people can get in and get at that work, which means that you're then exposing the documents that you need to collaborate on. That's not exactly really good security. I don't think that that's really a great way to do it. Now I'm just about done with sort of the challenges that are on slide. I'm just going to step off slide here for a second, and I'll just say that we track all of our issues and tickets. I mean, we're a tech support company. We track all of our issues and tickets by their type, what type of issue it is that comes in, and nearly 50% of our tickets are email related. Every one of my customers is calling in, and 1 out of 2 times it's somebody complaining about the mail server, complaining about their local mail. I'm not getting my messages, my spam is not working. I'm getting too many spams, I've got a virus, it's all coming in through email. Anything that companies can do to reduce those calls and reduce that cost is wise and really something worth considering. But I will say that it's not just about dollars and cents. It is very much about finding a solution that fits your needs, whether it's in-house or out-house or Exchange or Domino or whatever it might be. I'll give you a little bit of an example, sort of what I'm talking about. My wife is expecting our 3rd child in March. Yeah, thank you. So we're looking at minivans. And by all accounts, the Honda Odyssey it's an excellent minivan. It's bigger, it's got a great ride, it's got that Honda name on it, but they don't make an all-wheel drive version. I live upstate, that kind of puts it off of my list. When you guys are considering your mail and hosting solution, you really do need to weigh all the pros and cons, not just the dollars. But I will say that the really big advantage here is that there are no hidden costs. There is never going to be that, oh, hey boss, we need more RAM for the server, or we have to make a CapEx expenditure to buy more storage for the server, or whatever it might be. And I will also say that your administrative costs will be a lot lower. And on that note, yes, I will say, I am a tech support provider, and I am talking about a solution that costs me money. But I will say most tech support people, they make their vacation plans based on when Microsoft is releasing a new version of the server, because they know that's how they're going to make their vacation. They're going to get to go on a nice long trip to Europe if you decide to buy a 2010 server. They pay their payroll administering your quotas. But I will say that at Valiant, we really try to focus on the solution that's right for the customers first, and then hope that that brings more customers to our table. But anyway, I will say, in my opinion, there are a lot of times when an in-house mail solution makes a lot of sense. But whenever I compare hosted solutions, nothing even comes remotely close to this in terms of your dollars, in terms of the features, in terms of just about everything. Your average standard hosted Exchange solution is about $120 per year per user, plus $25 for anti-spam, and that's going to get you only 2 gigs of mail. It's a major, major difference from what we're talking about here. I will say that these are my slides. That's sort of my spiel. And I'm going to pass this over to Alan, and hopefully he will have some solutions and alternatives for you guys.